Today I'm going to make a bus bar or distribution block for my vehicle so that my battery terminal doesn't become overcrowded with a bunch of lugs and wires. So let me get to work. For a base for this whole project I decided on a piece of copper bar. I found this part or this piece of copper bar laying around between a bunch of other things. I sanded it a bit so it's just a bit smoother for the lugs to make nice contact on it. Thereafter I drilled a bunch of holes depending on how many you need and how long your bar is. At each one of these holes I tapped with a tap in order so that it could be threaded so I can put a bolt through from the back. Now I'm using a bunch of M8 bolts like such, and these would then simply be able to screw through the bar from the back like this, and obviously there's going to be a whole lot of them. Once all these M8 bolts are through this bar, I'm only going to tighten them from the back, and this whole bar I'm going to mount on top of a wooden block just so that it's isolated in the back so it doesn't make contact with the vehicle body or anywhere it shouldn't. And after that's done, after this is attached, I'm just going to attach all the lugs with the nuts from the top side. A bit later on I might see what kind of an insulation layer or temporary cover I can put on top, just so that nothing can make contact with it, or it can't be earthed with anything else in the body, so there will be no shorts. Let's assemble this and see what it looks like. Okay, so here is the copper bar that I've used. Obviously I sanded it like I said. It's got the slight edge on the one side, which is almost perfect for the purpose that I'm going to use it for. I made some homemade lugs as well. Now for the part where the lug becomes thicker, where the wire goes into, this is perfect on this angled edge over here, because that means that it can make nice solid flat contact with the bar, and there'll be no gaps and so on between the lug and the bar. Now firstly let's put in all these bolts. Obviously I've got 6 of them in a row, so let's quickly fast forward while I put all of them in and tighten them. Alright, so that's done. All 6 of the bolts are inserted into the bar and they're all tightened. This is more or less what it looks like from the side. Now, while I'm at this stage, some people might be asking, so why would I want a bus bar with so many connections? Now, a good example would be, some people in their vehicles install spotlights, a compressor, some extra terminals or plugs, your auxiliary plugs at the back of the vehicle. They've got winches, all sort of accessories in their vehicle that they need to power. Now obviously if you put all the wires with the different lugs and so on onto one battery terminal, it tends to get quite overcrowded and quite densely populated, so the contact isn't that good and the distribution of the power might not be so efficient. Now as I said, I'm going to use a piece of wood to mount the bar on top of for isolation at the back. So what I've done is basically taken a piece of wood, I've drilled some holes into it from the top in order to accommodate the heads of the bolts so that the bar can sit flush against the piece of wood. It's at the back, you'll see it's not painted. I merely painted this piece of wood red since it's going to be for the positive terminals of my battery, or of all the accessories and so on. All the positive wires are going to come from this block, and this will then mount on top of it like so. I measure them perfect fit like this, and I'm simply going to add 2 screws on the side here. This is what it will look like once it's fitted. You'll see it's a nice flush fit, and once it's attached, this would be quite steady. I also left some spaces, or a space on either side, where I can drill holes and make mounting points for this whole thing. A bit later on I'll make another plan with a bit of a cover and so on, but for now this is more than efficient. Now the main idea is that once this is tightened, there's going to be 2 lugs at least on the one point, or not necessarily, if you've depending on how many things you've got. So obviously there's going to be a lug on this one, and with a wire to your battery terminal, which means it's only going to be 1 terminal on your battery clamp instead of 6 or more. Now this will make it much neater and tidier, and also not as overpopulated, and this does present very well in comparison with those other things. So let me quickly drill a hole for those 2 screws, insert the screws, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so there we go. It's now attached to this thing, or to the wooden piece of wood. The bolts or the studs are very steady and they're strong. So let's see what it's going to look like if I add a bunch of the lugs. Let's start here from one side. If I would want to add some washers as well, we'll simply put them on top for a good solid connection, and to make sure the nuts make proper contact everywhere. Let's lightly tie all of these up. Now the lugs are homemade. I made them from a piece of aluminium pipe that was also a piece of rubbish junk pipe, basically, that was going to be thrown away. So once again, almost all of this are leftover pieces of material that was found laying around and so on, and from all those pieces of material we've made something that is quite efficient. So if you would like maybe a video showing how I made these lugs, share it in the comments below and I'll show you guys. So there's the main idea, the main distribution block, or the positive distribution blocks. Obviously I haven't tightened these. You can just take a wrench like so and tighten them all very tightly, and they would be very good or well connected with a proper size. This the size or the thickness of this bar is about 5 to 6 millimeters, approximately 1/4 inch. And that is more than sufficient to distribute the power evenly between all the lugs. And if this would now be mounted inside your vehicle against the firewall or fender or anywhere on the inside, the bulkhead, this would display much neater than all of these wires being connected to one battery terminal. So if you like this idea and this video, please like this video. Help me beat the YouTube algorithm on this one. And please let me know what else you would like me to cover in this category, or anything else rather. Any DIY materials or leftover materials, any cut-offs or anything that you would want something proper made of. Let me know. So until next time, thank you very much guys.